Yeah, yeah. I wasn't trying to circumcise him.
Okay, let's go. We're live now, and let's go on the recording. I have to make sure we just gave a class before in the parsha, and the recording it didn't shoot live, so I just want to make sure that it's going live here, and we're not stuck with that. People that could watch it on YouTube. So just give me a second. Make sure I'm gonna push it over here. This may be a better source for it. Okay, let's let in Rebecca. Okay, so we're middle of the laws of Rosh Chodesh. So I don't know why it's not going live. Hold on. Let's see if we could get it on the internet to go. YouTube is slow. Maybe it's in my reception here. Just give everyone a second so everyone could enjoy it. Okay, I think now it's streaming. Let's just see if it's working. Okay, so Ariel's here. Alrighty, so okay, we're middle of the laws of Rosh Chodesh, which is of course extremely appropriate because tonight's Rosh Chodesh. So those in the East Coast, I'm assuming it's already well into the night. Hey Ariel and Aaron, so it's a good time to learn the laws of Rosh Chodesh. Okay, so last week we learned about the laws of Hallel, of how we say Hallel, and the many different customs of saying Hallel of on Rosh Chodesh, because Rosh Chodesh is a half Hallel. So then becomes a question if we make a blessing, we don't make a blessing, how we say the Kaddish afterwards, and all the things that we talk about in Hallel. And again, those who are one of the beautiful things here in Yerushalayim is I don't know if in New York maybe I don't know I highly doubt Barbara if it's in Seattle, but smaller city, but in New York and other places, but in Yerushalayim surely they have gatherings where people get together on Rosh Chodesh and they really make a big davening out of it. I know right not far from here, and there's a show called Beis Hashem, where they do music with people come with their instruments and they sing Hallel. And not far from here is a show called Yeshurun Show that the women get together because again, like Rebecca is going to told me just now before online, but we learned in the halachas last week that the women are supposed to and Barbara, this applies to you also. Women are supposed to vacate to go on a little bit of holiday, not do work on Rosh Chodesh. So though you can't say they shouldn't do any work, hold on, Aaron, you shouldn't do any work on Rosh Chodesh, but the halacha says that you should take one thing on Rosh Chodesh, a woman should take one thing on Rosh Chodesh that she would do usually in her routine and not do it because it's Rosh Chodesh. Rosh Chodesh is the new month. Now, and the reason is we last week we weren't sure the reason. So Rebecca and I checked it out also independently while we to answer for this week, but Rebecca got ahead of me, and the reason is because the women were not part of the sin of the golden calf. And we know they didn't want to at all give away their gold. The men grabbed it from them and they made the golden calf. And as a reward for that, God gave the women an extra holiday, which is the holiday of Rosh Chodesh, for them to take kind of a day off or a lighter day. From the Shulchan Aruch, it says you shouldn't do any work. But because that maybe it's not practical, it says that women should try to take at least one thing that they shouldn't do usually in their routine in honor of Rosh Chodesh. So Aaron and then Barbara. Aaron, you had a question or a point to say?
No, I just wanted to say you was talking about New York. So in my circle, not in the summer because they take a vacation, but we have this elderly couple, uh, what like my parents' age. So they throw a party with music, food, and gathering
Okay, there
for
you go.
the new month.
For the new month, it's Rosh Chodesh. It's a wonderful, wonderful time, and it's good. It's an opportunity to wash and make hamotzi. But again, that's what I'm saying over here. In the Shurim show, the women get together with music, and they have a whole. I mean, obviously, men are not invited, so it's a women's only event. So it looks like usually when I walk by there on my way to work, I could hear that it seems pretty lively and fun for them. Yeah, Barbara, you wanted to ask something?
No, I was just going to share that years ago I heard one of the things about Rosh Chodesh, especially for women, was that a woman should buy herself something nice for
Oh,
at Rosh Chodesh.
that's
And
a one.
so
That's a
I
one.
like that.
Yeah, wonderful idea. Treat yourself. So that's the idea. Treat yourself on Rosh Chodesh. Wonderful idea. Rebecca.
Also my friends also told me that it's specifically Rosh Chodesh because there are parallels between women and Rosh Chodesh in terms of like the cycles of the moon kind of parallel like the cycles of like, women, how everything is constantly changing and cycles of the month and that type of thing.
Yeah, and also Yisrael Daimim Levanah, the Jewish people are like the moon. I just want to say for those most of us here, at least on the Zoom, are in the United States and Israel. I don't think we saw it in Israel, but last night with the new moon, because an eclipse that was able to be seen in Spain and other places, which was interesting that it happened on Rosh Chodesh. And so it means that Rosh Chodesh in general, when there's a small when the moon, it's a new moon, so there's very little or no moon, and then therefore it's darker outside. So then you have an eclipse, it's even darker on top of the darkness. Anachi Aster, we're going to double darkness. So maybe that's a good sign the Mashiach is coming. We got rid of that double. It says right before the night breaks, it's its most intense darkness. And then they said that in Israel, because of that, there was supposed to be some sort of those who go to Mitzvah Rimon, that's in the south near towards Eilat, you're able to see amazing flying, shooting stars. What is it called? A shower, something, a shower, some sort of light shower or something, which was visual in Eretz Yisrael last night.
Meteor showers.
Meteor shower, exactly. Sorry, meteor shower that was visual last night in the dark places like Mitzvah Rimon. So again, from the darkness comes the light. All right, so we're holding. So before we go to the laws of inside, we're holding law 8. I just want to say we said we're going to bring up a little chart I said I was going to make up a little chart to help us. We pretty much got it, but just quickly run through it. The different customs of Rosh Chodesh. So on Rosh Chodesh, everyone agrees we do a half halal. There's no one who says a full halal on Rosh Chodesh. It's a minhag, which means that we omit, means we don't say the lo lanu, and we don't say the hafti. Those are the two sections that we omit from the halal that makes it a half halal. Bracha before halal, like we said, Ashkenaz, Nusach Sfard, Chasidis, and Chabad Nusach Ari all say. So we said based on what we learned last week that although the Alter Rebbe puts in the Shulchan Aruch that we don't say it and only the Chazan says it, like the Rif says, but nevertheless our custom is nevertheless to say it. That's what the Rebbe says in Sefer Minhagim. However, Sfard, no one says the bracha, not the Chazan and not the congregation. Bracha after halal is the same laws as the bracha before halal. Those who say the bracha before halal, Ashkenaz, Nusach Sfard Chasidis, and Chabad will say the bracha afterwards. Some people in Chabad will go according to what the Rebbe Alter Rebbe writes in Siddur, which the Chazan says that that's the nusach of the Rif, and everyone says Amen. Again, in the Sephardi communities, Edut HaMizrach, they will not say a bracha afterwards like they don't say before. Individuals saying halal, so bracha generally is said in Ashkenaz, no bracha in Sfard. Nusach Sfard Chasidus says a bracha, and again, the minhag of Chabad is to make a bracha. Hodu, the repetitions, is the customs vary of how they do it. We say Hod Hashem Kitov, and then Yomer Na Yisrael Kilam Chazde. The Chazan says, and everyone says Hod Hashem Kitov, and we go ahead of the Chazan. Repeated even when davening alone. That's important to know. In Chabad, even if we're davening alone, we repeat the Hod Hashem Kitov. The Kaddish we spoke about immediately after Halal is, so he says, in Nusach Ashkenaz is the Kaddish with Tiskabel means a full Kaddish. And then when there's a Musaf that follows, because not always on Chanukah, we only say half Kaddish because there is no Musaf. We don't means that just a kind of a guide, a mental guide to know when we say a full Kaddish, that's kind of ending it. So when we say the full Kaddish after Uvaletzion every day, that ends Shachris. And if we say the full Kaddish after Musaf, it's because we ended Shachris and we're going into the new prayer of Musaf. If there's Chanukah where we have Halal and no Musaf, so we don't have to say the Kaddish Tiskabel until after Uvaletzion. In a lot of Ashkenazi shuls that you'll go to, davening is over after Kaddish Tiskabel. Kind of in Chabad we go all the way to Ach Tzadikim. Of course we say Tillim, but if you daven in Ashkenazi shul, you'll see kind of the intensity of the minyan is over after the Kaddish Tiskabel, which is the full Kaddish that we say to complete the davening, and that's applicable to all the tefillot. Okay. In Chabad we say Shir Shal Yom after Halal before Kriya. After Halal, according to local nusach, there's different nuschos. Okay, then we have the Barchi Nafshi is again today's Rosh Chodesh. So in Chabad will today, for instance, I'm going to go after I finish our class here. I'm going to take my daughter Tali to school, and from there I'm going to go to an Ashkenaz, a Sephardic minyan, where it's going to be a little stressful for me because I have to say Hayom Yom Vorchi Nafshin. If I'm not mistaken, I also say LeDavid Hashem Ori, all before Kriya, when the Sephardic community does not say that. They say it later. And therefore, and then I have to be able to change my tefillin after Ashrei. So it gets a little stressful to daven in a non-Chabad minyan if you're a Chabad on Rosh Chodesh. Hold on, Aaron, let's just finish this. So again, the Baruch Nafshi, which is a special prayer we say for Rosh Chodesh, is there's different minuschos, but Chabad does say it. I think that's chapter 103, if I'm not mistaken, or 104 of Tehillim. Kaddish after Baruch Nafshi, we say Kaddish Yasim in Chabad. And Kaddish after the Torah, everyone says Chatzi Kaddish, half Kaddish. Kaddish before Musaf, again, also varies how that goes. Some people say the Chatzi Kaddish after, say the Kaddish, the Kaddish after Ashri Voletzion, and to go, and then they do the Musaf when they're ready. Chabad doesn't do the Kaddish until we actually are ready to say the Musaf. Okay, I think that basically covers it. Then he just says over here, just like we said last week, when do we say a Hallel? Rosh Chodesh is a half a Hallel. Chanukah, all 8 days, is a whole Hallel. Sukkot, all days are whole Hallel, so it's getting ready for the high holidays. So everyone should know that on Sukkot, every day we say the full Hallel, meaning including Chol HaMoed. Shavuos, both days we say the whole Hallel, in Chutz La'aretz and Eretz Yisrael one day. Pesach, the first days only, night and day, we say the whole Hallel. The rest of Pesach is only half Hallel. Means Chol HaMoed, including Shvisha Pesach. And Rosh Hashanah, there is, of course, no Hallel on Rosh Hashanah. Yom Kippur has no Hallel. And also, Shabbos, ordinary Shabbos, has no Hallel. So that kind of gives us a rundown of the customs of Hallel. Yes, Aaron, and then Barbara.
Okay. We know that in Israel, sometimes you do things a little different. So is there anything in the new month or of prayers or in celebrating that you do in Israel or we would do if we were visiting Israel that's different?
The only thing differently that we would do in Eretz Yisrael, as I know of, it could be there's some other customs I'm not aware of, but the customs, as far as in Chabad, there's no difference. I know that some people, what's called the Hasidic Gra, the followers of the Gra, like we learned last week, they do a different reading. So if I was going to join an Ashkenazi minyan today, I don't believe the Sephardim keep that minhag. They would do the reading differently of the Torah. That was called the Nusach of the Gra. But the regular, I think in Chabad everywhere it's the same way. It's not a question of what we read; it's just how we divide the reading. There's four calling up, four aliyot. There's four people that called up to the Torah Rosh Chodesh. The way the Torah works is that it goes with the quality of the holiday kind of dictates how many aliyot you have. So Shabbos has the most, 7 aliyot. Yom Kippur has 6 aliyot. A regular Yom Tov has 5 aliyot. Rosh Chodesh has 4 aliyot, and a regular Monday and Thursday has 3 aliyot. So based on kind of the intensity of the day is how many people get called up to the Torah. So Shabbos is the most, 7 plus Maftir. So in the division of the 4 calling ups on Rosh Chodesh, we learned last week that what verses get said is divided differently in Eretz Yisrael versus outside of Eretz Yisrael. But that's the only difference that I'm aware of, unless I'm mistaken. Yes, Barbara.
I was just going to ask, so when I say my daily prayers, I say them on the ferry because that's when I have time, and I get out through the Amida. When should I say the half halal?
Okay,
At what
so
point?
what siddur do you daven out of when you daven? Is that the Chabad siddur?
The Chabad blue sitter, yes.
Okay, so then you would go with the Nusach Chabad. So then your schedule, let's just see, we could bring it up right here. Let's just make the page a little bigger, if I can. I don't see that it has any effect. Okay, so let's maybe make this like this. That can help. Here we go. So the schedule is like this. You daven Shacharis, which is your regular morning prayer. After Shemona Esrei, meaning the Amidah, you would say the half Hallel. In Chabad, you'd make the blessing before and after, omitting those two parts, which are Lolan and Ahafti. Okay? Then you would say in Chabad, at the end of, this is only for Rosh Chodesh, at the end of the Hallel, I don't remember how the blue siddur looks, but at the end of the Hallel, you're going to have what's called Avram Zaken. You say the Avram Zakim Ba Bayomim, Vashem Berech Avram Bakol, and some Kabbalistic words, Aramaic words. You say it 3 times. It's an idea of blessing for the new month and kind of a kapara, an atonement for, which Rosh Chodesh is a day of atonement as well. You're davening alone, so you don't say Kaddish. Then you would say the song of the day. So today is tomorrow's Thursday. You can say Thursday. I'm saying tomorrow for those who are Wednesday night. So you would say Thursday is Hayom Yom, and then Rosh Chodesh is again on Friday. So you say the song of the day for Thursday and Friday each day. Then you're going to say Hoshienu, which is what we say after every Hayom Yom. Then you say the Baruch Nafshi. Baruch Nafshi is a special prayer. Again, in the Blue Siddur, after the song of the day, you're going to have the Baruch Nafshi. And I just wanted to make sure, check if I'm really checking. Yes, starting from tomorrow, all the way through Hoshana Rabbah, after Baruch Nafshi, you're going to say chapter 27, I believe it's in Tehillim, which is, or 27 in Tehillim, which is the David Hashem Ori, will be in your Siddur. That's a special prayer for the month of Elul, Tishrei, until the end of Sukkot, until the end of Hoshana Rabbah, is we say David Hashem Ori. So that's going to be the third thing. So you can have song of the, you can do after Amidah, you can do Hallel, song of the day, Hoshienu, Baruch Nafshi, this is Chabad, the David Hashem Ori. Then you're not davening with a minyan. You would say usually you would do the reading of the Torah, but if you're alone on the fair, you would say the Ashrei Uval Etzion. Then you would have you would say your song of the day. If you say Tehillim, that'd be the time to say Tehillim. And then you would say the second Amidah for the day, which is the Musaf. After the Musaf, you would say the Ein Kelokeinu and Aleinu, and that would complete davening.
And is there a time on this? So when I need to have this done by, or when I should do it?
So if you feel you don't have enough time and you want to break it up, so what I would do is I would do the Amidah and Hallel and Song of the Day. If you can get in with the Song of the Day, the Baruch Nafshi and the David Hashem Ori, because that completes Shachris. Finish that, and then when you have the next time opening, maybe on the way back, because if you're traveling, it's still daytime in Seattle. Then even in the afternoon, it's better earlier. But even in the afternoon, you could say the Ashrei V'Otzi and the Musaf, and then you do your Mincha prayers later.
Okay, all right. Can you post that on WhatsApp, please?
Sure, I'll put that on the group. I'll put that I'll divide it up into the times. But in general, if you could get into, finish Song of the Day and the extras that you have for Rosh Chodesh in the month of Elul, and then the Musaf and Ashrei V'Otzi and Musaf you could do later. That's a separate time to pray. Yes, I mean usually we do it all in one, but if you can't, you could divide it like that way. Yes, Aaron.
Okay, I bring this up because you're mentioning the Torah and what we used to do in COVID when we were stuck at home and couldn't get to shul. So could you, shouldn't you read the Torah? I mean, when we were in COVID, we didn't have a minyan on Saturday. My son would make me read the Torah, or we would read together. He'd read the Hebrew, I'd read the English. And yeah. So if someone has to pray alone, should you or should you not read the Torah at the proper time in the service?
Okay. So let me just say this. If you're no, to read the Torah during the service, that you don't have to do that. If we're talking about a regular week, then we have the idea is to learn a portion of the Torah every day. We try to do Sunday to Sunday, this the first reading, Monday the second reading, etc. Friday, Saturday the seventh reading. So that you would do on your own time, anyways. Even if you go to shul, you do that. But if you have time and you're kind of to open up the siddur and to read what the chazan would read, it's okay, but it's not obligatory at all. The idea is just to read the Torah in a minyan. A lot of times in COVID, people kind of they didn't want people to forget the idea. There's certain what's called unique times, and in unique circumstances, in unique times, things a little differently. Meaning, in COVID, people were scared that people would lose the flavor of what it means to daven with a minyan and what it means to hear kriya because they were going in these long periods of time of not joining a minyan. So that was, people had different rules then. But on your regular rules, you're a person that goes to shul and you just happen to miss a shul, you don't have to stop in after Shachris and read Kriya, because somewhere else they're reading Kriya. As long as it's being read somewhere. COVID was a unique time, so you can't learn from COVID on your day-to-day basis. That makes sense? Okay.
Yes, it does make sense.
Okay. Let's go to the text. Okay, so we covered Hallel, and we're going to post for Barbara and those who are on the chat, just to remind us the schedule. Again, what I'm going to be posting is going to be Nusach Chabad, because that's our Nusach. There's definitely different ways of doing this. Okay, so we have like this. We're holding about making the blessing on the new moon, which we're supposed to do. We're going to see when. But when we're supposed to do it is in the beginning when the moon is getting larger. So we don't do it the first night, second night, we'll see when. But at first we have to know the settings. It says, Ein l'kach rak tachas hashemayim v'lei tachas hagag. Don't be standing under a roof when you bless the new moon. Blessing the new moon is what's called Kiddush Levanah. Now, that doesn't just mean in your house, it also means if you're in an awning, you should be under the sky. If there's whatever the reason is, there's something that's, it's safety or what have you, that you can't, rain obviously is not applicable because you can't bless the new moon when it's raining, because when it's raining, usually the moon isn't shining. And we learned before the moon has to be shining in order to bless it. So, for whatever reason, you can't do the Kiddush Levanah in the open. So you could do it under the roof, means in your house, standing by the window, looking through the window. But it's good to know that if a person's lazy and you say, "Oh, I'm standing here in my house and I see the moon through my window," that's not how you do Kiddush Levanah. You have to go outside under the sky. Okay, let's see footnote number 17. What are we talking about? On the roof. So this is quoted from the Ramah 426 Law 4. The Rif, I guess it's based on the Rif. Since the mitzvah is akin to greeting the divine presence, the Shekhinah, is disrespectful not to go outside and do so. Right? Like God took Avram outside to see the sky, the stars. However, if you have a slight cold, okay, that could be a good reason not to go outside, and it's cold outside, or illness, you may do it from your house, like we said, the Magen Avraham, looking out your window to see the moon. I guess also everything is on scales. So if you're able to go outside and see it, and then it's too cold, you go inside. At least to be at some point outside.
Balcony counts.
Who?
Is outdoors a balcony?
Yeah,
A balcony.
Balcony is fine as long as I'm saying it better not to be under an awning. You have sometimes on the balcony from your house. It could go that it's covered. It's a covered balcony.
Oh, I have the roof from the floor above me, the ceiling. That doesn't count then.
Better go downstairs. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So 18. It is preferable to do it through an open window if possible. If you're doing it outside, inside for whatever reason, better. Again, like I said, it's by scale. The best you can do it with connection to outside. Mitzvah min hamuvchar. The best mitzvah is the kacha b'motzei Shabbos. We try to do it on a Saturday night. Why? So you should be dressed in nice clothing, because a person's usually dressed specially for Shabbos. So because of blessing the new moon is a big mitzvah, so better not to just come out in your jeans or shorts. Come out dressed for Shabbos clothing is more appropriate, which is our custom. We try to do it on Motzei Shabbos. Usually you have 2 weeks to do it, meaning in a month, right? It's 15 days. You have 2 weeks to do it, but that's only depending on when how the month falls out. Like this week, Rosh Chodesh falls out on Thursday. So you can't do it on Motzei Shabbos. It's too close to Rosh Chodesh. So you really only have 1 week. You can only do next Motzei Shabbos because the next week is already going to be too late. So you have one Saturday night to do it, which is going to be next Saturday night. The issue is not always are you able to do it on a Saturday night. If you live in Seattle, you don't have that luxury, definitely not in the winter, to just wait till Saturday night. Usually in Seattle, if you have a moon, you grab it, because to bank on the moon being clear, the sky being clear on a Saturday night in the winter is the odds are against you. Not everyone has the power of the story that we said last week of from the Baba Sali and from the Rebbe and from Meir Pamishlan to be able to take a handkerchief out and open the clouds. All right.
4 or 5 shuls on Shabbos. You'll see in like a circle. They'll all be outside
Yeah,
on
yeah,
Shabbos.
but the question is not in our, for instance, Chabad likes to do it after full 7 days. Others do it after 3 days, and that's when people sometimes divide. He says, but if Motzei Shabbos is going to turn out to be as long as 10 days after the new moon, or you're concerned you may not be able to sanctify it because let's say, like I said, you live in Seattle or what happens you, whatever it is, it's good. There's something there that concerns you. It's not going to be an opportunity. You don't have to wait to Motzei Shabbos and be hopeful against all odds that it's going to work out. If you have a moon and it's after a certain amount of time, do it right away. Mitzvah the kachev safe asam, but the best is also, and that's why we do Motzei Shabbos also. It's also best to do it in a group, not alone. So, Aaron, you're talking about doing it on your porch. If you can, and you go to synagogue on a Saturday afternoon, so the best is to do it then, because not only is it Motzei Shabbos, it's also in a congregation. Why? Mishum de birav am hadras melech. The rule is that in a multitude of people is glory of the king, meaning that it's not, you can't compare. It says that in the laws of Bikurim, when they brought the first fruit to Yerushalayim, so the bigger the group that was coming, the bigger the group that accepted them in Jerusalem. That the rule was that when you came, you didn't go alone. You went with a group to bring the new fruit. You met up, people from a city. So that depending on the size of the group was depending how they responded. If one person showed up with a basket, they said good afternoon. If a group of 20 people from a city came in, they got more attention. So there's an idea, because when you come in a group, it's more nicer. Again, that's not a reason to hold back. Again, especially if you have concern, you're not going to manage it. These are all extras; they're not essential. And if they're extras, therefore, then better to make sure you don't miss out on it. Mitzvahs rizim magdimim. It's best to do a mitzvah in its proper time. Because to do a mitzvah in its proper time is better than to wait. So you should do it with the congregation. Okay, some people are less careful than that than others. Okay, now when do we start sanctifying the new moon? Which is the question, different minhagim, Chabad, Kabbalistic or halachic. You have to wait at least 3 days, but that's again, so 3 days. I don't know. I think the new moon. When are they saying the new moon is this year? Those who were in shul this week? I don't remember what it said. I think it said Thursday is the new moon. So Thursday, Friday, Shabbat, Motzei Shabbos. I don't know if that's considered 3 days. To be able to you have to have at least 3 days to be able to bless the new moon. But the custom is to wait 7. What happens if Motzei Saturday night comes out before 7 days? You shouldn't wait. That's Nusach Ashkenaz. So in Ashkenaz, if it's the 4 or 5 days and it's Motzei Shabbos, they're going to bless that Motzei Shabbos. This year, I don't think even Ashkenazi shuls would do it this Saturday night. But in Chabad and Hasidim, they'll wait even if it's the 6th day, they'll wait till the next week. Eli Katshuv Motzei Shabbos, better to do Motzei Shabbos because you're wearing clothing and there's Reivam than to do it than to wait 7 days. How long do you have? You have a half a month. How long is a month? Like we said in our Parsha class, 29 and a half days. You only have 29 days to bless the new month. Once you go over to it's no longer a new moon because it's already past 50%. So he tells us how long is exactly a month. A month exactly is 29 days, 12 hours, halachic hours, not our hours, meaning we always divide the hours by the 24 hours by 24 hours is 12 days, 12 nights. So it's 29 days, 12 hours, ushva meyos v'tishim ushloisha chalakim, and 793 parts. Shehu arba asa, which basically gives you up to the 14th, including the
Can
14th.
you answer what halakha means? That last parts, I never know what that means.
Halakim means parts, means so he says over here. Look, you see, 20. Look in the parentheses in English. A month
Okay.
is 29 days, 12 hours, and 793 parts of 1,080 parts, which make up an hour. So they don't have seconds. We have 60 seconds makes up an hour. Halachically,
Yeah.
1,080 parts to an hour. So
What's
700
a part? How
apart.
long is a real part?
Well, divide it.
Okay.
Halachically, we have different hours because winter and summer. Our winter hours are shorter. Our summer hours are longer. We always have a day and night. No matter what, every day is divided into 12 hours in the day and 12 hours at night. So if you have an exact 24 hours, it's half day, half night. So then the hours are exact. But you have winter that has shorter days and longer nights, and you have the summer that has longer days and shorter nights. So, but you always divide the day time by 12. So depending on winter, summer, and depending how long that daytime is how long the hours are. So you divide those days. So you divide it whatever. So sometimes you could have 40 minutes, 40 of our minute hours, and sometimes you could have longer than 60, depending on winter, summer. And then whatever that hour is, you have to divide it by 1,080, and 793 of those parts is the amount of parts of 12 hours plus 12 hours when the new month is. That's why it's complicated. It's not so easy, the laws of the new month. So, and that's also why we don't always, like this month, we have 2 days of Rosh Chodesh, and sometimes you have 1 day of Rosh Chodesh. Why? Because you can't divide a month by parts. You can't say Rosh Chodesh happens, middle of the day. So either you swing this way, you swing that way, because it swings. So it's not. That's why we have that at the end. A leap year. What a leap year does is gathers all those extra spaces, and after every few years gives us extra time to make up with the lunar year, with the lunar year with the solar year, so we kind of don't go out of sync. Yes, Rebecca.
Sorry, not exactly about this, but if a woman doesn't go to shul the day that they bench Rosh Chodesh, like on Shabbos Mavarchim, she could say it at home by herself, right?
Okay, here we're talking about Kiddush Chodesh, Mevarchim Chodesh, yes, but you have to find out before. Best to bless the new month. You have to know when the new month is. Like I said, so you have 29 days, 12 hours, and 7 parts. So when you're going to be in shul, they're going to tell you that the new moon is going to be at Thursday, 6 a.m. in Jerusalem, such and such time, and such amount of parts. So you should look up before Shabbos the time of the Rosh Chodesh to know when it is. It's best to know when it is. That's what we call it out in shul. And that applies to men as well. If you're not going to be with a minyan or not be able to go to shul, you should at least print up and
Like
write
know
down
when the molad is?
and know when the mullet is before you do the Kiddush HaChodesh. Yeah.
Okay. Also I have two questions about Rosh Chodesh benching. So I went to a Chabad shul and I was kind of surprised that they don't we say in like Nusach Ashkenaz like a whole Yehi Ratzon beforehand where we ask for all different kinds of things. I was kind of surprised that Chabad doesn't have that in their siddur.
Okay. Next question. I'll address that. What's the next question?
Um, the other thing is, I don't know if you can answer this because we just said that the Yehi Ratzon is not in the Chabad Nosach, but I was just like curious that we ask for so many different things in there, but there's nothing about health and refuah.
So it's a good. See, it's good. I'm not familiar with the Hiratzin because we don't say it, and if I can answer you that question, but I could say is Chabad is usually not big on the Hiratzins in general. Even in Rosh Hashanah, we only say one Yehi Ratzon about the apple. We don't do all the Yehi Ratzons. We don't do all the customs like even the Chabad will have, I think we'll have the head of a fish or the head of a sheep.
But Chabad is very into like, the Hareini Makaba Alai, like all of those kinds of like
What's the, that's what
making things like personal.
But there's a difference. A Yehi Ratzon is asking what is the Yehi Ratzon means? The
May it
word
be the will of Hashem.
but what's the point of Yehi? What's the idea of a tefillah Yehi Ratzon? Yehi Ratzon, the idea of a tefillah Yehi Ratzon means, the way Chabad explains it is that if there was no will, let's say God, you have some things that are kind of in the plan, but they're not. They have to be actualized. And you have things that are just not in the plan. So Yehi Ratzon means let it be God's plan. It means if He didn't plan it for me, He should plan it for me. So therefore, we like to assume. I'm just going to take this a leap. We like to assume that a lot of these that in general the whole tefillah by Chabad is Yehi Ratzon. is that God should have a new will for us and everything, and therefore all the davening is included. But when it comes to Hareini Makabel is about Avos Yisrael. That, of course. But the Yehi Ratzen's on a list of things. It's just not
Or
Chabad's custom.
like before you bench lulav, don't you say like that long paragraph like
No.
or before Sfiras
But,
HaOmer?
so we don't have the before, but we have the Hiratzin after Sphere Summer. We have the Hiratzin after Sphere Summer. We have this very special Hiratzin. It's a different Hiratzin that what you say. Other than Chosem, we also have a special Hiratzin for the after we say the Nasi. So there's different tefillos for different nuschos. It says the Alter Rebbe checked hundreds of Siddurim when he came up with his Siddur. And you have to remember something else. The Alter Rebbe Siddur is based on the rule of Shar Kol. Shar Kol means the 13th gate of the temple. The temple had 12 gates, and there was an additional 13th gate. The 12 gates represented the 12 tribes. Each tribe had its own gate to enter because each tribe had their own way of avoda, of service. What happens if you don't know what tribe you belong to, right? Let's say you don't know if you're a convert. Then you don't belong to a specific tribe. So what gate do you go through? So it's called the 13th gate. It's called Shar HaKolel, the inclusive gate. Everyone could go through that gate. So the Alter Rebbe's rule was that he built the Siddur based on Shar HaKolel. That means this is Siddur for everyone. It's not a Siddur for your special kind of person. And therefore, any person could daven the Nusach of Alter Rebbe, and therefore he made this Nusach specifically to match spiritually. We're not on that league. We don't understand these differences, but the Alter Rebbe does. To understand what Nusach is considered a Shar HaKolel, an inclusive prayer, and what Nusach could maybe be for a special group of people. Alter Rebbe wanted to have a very inclusive Nusach. So that would be popular for today. Okay. So we said, okay, we're holding the footnotes over here, 19 and 20. So 19, it says, in the winter season, it's definitely better not to wait, obviously, because you may not be able to see it later. So says the Mishnah Berurah, especially in Europe, where the Chafetz Chaim lived, and also if you're in Seattle, if you're in Yerushalayim, you have a little bit more confidence that the moon is going to be out even in the winter months. But in Seattle, our rule in Seattle always was growing up that if you have a moon, grab it. Okay. An hour is divided to 101 halakim parts. So again, actually, those who learn Rambam one chapter a day, these are the laws that they're learning now, is the laws of Kiddush Chodesh. The very complicated, hardest part of Rambam is to understand the new moon. Not easy at all. You have to be an astronomist. He goes into all the rules and all the halachas. It's always not if that's not your type of learning. Some people, it's a technical way of learning. Dealing with numbers, it's very it could be very overwhelming. But it's of course all part of Torah. Okay, then at certain times of the year we do not want to bless the new month. For instance, everyone knows this month, meaning the month we're leaving now, everyone waits till after Tisha B'Av to bless the new month because you don't want to bless in the 9 days. So that's why Matzah Tisha B'Av, everyone blesses the new month. We don't wait till the Shabbos Nachamu, especially Shabbos Nachamu sometimes could be too late. Also, if you're sitting mourning, Elim came. Again, if you're an Ovel, I have to check Nusach Chabad. But if you're an Ovel, then you don't do Kiddush Chodesh unless your Avelus takes you into the 10th day. Because this is the Kitzur Shulchan Aruch who says that we don't want, even though you could go up including the 14th. I've seen people do it on the 15th, but up until because 15th basically. It depends how you look at the 14, 20, 29 days, what did we say, 12 hours and 793 parts. But either way, the Kitzur says don't go past 10 days. So he says if your Avelis goes past 10 days, then during the Avelis, during the morning, you could do the Kiddush Chodesh. Azi Kachu b'mei then you should do it even when you're sitting as a mourner. Don't bless the new moon if you are in a state of fasting. What about Yom Matzah and Kippur? The custom is also Yom Kippur is the 10th. We don't bless. The custom is everyone does Kiddush HaChodesh after the fast. The reason why you shouldn't do it while your food is because you're hungry. and it's a time of simcha, of joy. But on Yom Kippur, you don't need to eat. I know some people have the custom that they do break fast and then they do Kiddush HaChodesh. So they'll that's if you're in shul where they have a break fast, some cake, coffee, whatever it is. They'll do break fast on Yom Kippur and then go all out together and bless the new moon. But according to the Kitzur Shulchan Aruch, you don't need to do that unless, of course, you're very hungry. But you don't need to do. Of course, you have to have Havdalah first. But you won't do that because even if you're hungry, you're happy. Why are you happy? You're happy because you just got forgiven. So that overrides your hunger. All right, let's see the footnotes here. 21, he says, one should not sanctify before Tisha B'Av. This is a Ramah 426, law 2, because sanctifying the moon is a mitzvah fulfilled with joy. If you read the English text of the Kiddush HaChodesh, it's a very beautiful tefillah, and it's supposed to be with simcha, and of course in the 9 days we're not simcha. All right, so, and Matzah Tisha B'Av, everyone's happy, even though Matzah Tisha B'Av, it still has certain laws that we don't do. We don't eat meat, we don't cut our hair, we don't do certain things until midday of the 10th, but it's already, we're past, past crucial time. 23 will not end within the 10th day, the 10 full days, 10 24-hour periods. Okay. 24. The Magen Avram, but the Bir Halacha 426 talking about that you should do it even in morning if the morning takes you into the 10th day. It says the morning may not sanctify the moon unless the entire allowed time to sanctify the moon will elapse before the end of the 7 days of mourning. I mean, let's say, God forbid, someone was waiting to bless the new moon, and obviously suddenly someone passed away in your family that you have to sit a veilus for. And the veilus is going to go past the 14th day. So then obviously you have to bless the new moon before. But just to make it before 10 days, which is the preferable time according to the Kitzur Shulchan Aruch, that's not enough of a reason to do it while you're in a veilus. Again, a veilus, why we don't bless the new moon is because you're not happy. And you're supposed to bless the new moon in a state of happiness. So therefore, the Bir Halacha says, if you're in mourning, and your mourning will end, your 7 days of Shiva will end before the 14th, then wait till after the days of mourning. The Shochet the Kitzur goes according to the Magen Avram. The Magen Avram who says that you should do it, try to do it before the 10 days. What are we talking about over here? That our sins are forgiven as we sanctify it immediately. So he says that we do Kiddush HaChodesh seemingly before breaking the fast. So says the Chai Adam. After you taste something, you may sanctify the moon even immediately after Tisha B'Av. Okay. After you taste something, you may sanctify the moon even immediately after Tisha B'Av, says the Mishnah Brura and different Achronim. Means at Tisha B'Av you have to eat something first because you don't have the benefit of Yom Kippur, which is even though you're fasting, you have good, you're in good mood because of the forgiveness. If there's a minion sanctifying the moon now, and there will be none later, you should do it with them even if you have not broken your fast. Okay, this is a good question. Let's say you're in shul. Most people don't go back to shul after they break the fast. If there's no break fast after Tisha B'Av in the shul, most shuls have a break fast. I mean, it doesn't mean you have to have a full sit-down meal, but if you have a little bit of orange juice and a knish, then you're okay. In a Danish, you're fine. But if for whatever reason there's not that break fast at the synagogue, and you're going to go home, and then you're not going to be able to say Kiddush HaChodesh with a minyan. So, and even if you're fasting still, the idea of Rov Am Hadras Melech. So we learned, okay, if you want to break it up, that there's reason Magdim mitzvahs to wait for a minyan past the time that we don't do because we want to do a mitzvah as soon as possible. But to make sure that we're happy because we're not starving, that doesn't come before the benefit of saying it in a congregation, which is with a minyan. Now, Rebecca may ask if a woman wants to say Kiddush HaChodesh, it's like any tefillah that's man grama, so it would be potter for a woman. But if she wants to say it, does she have to go to shul? You can go to shul and join the men if you stand in the place where they let you stand, but obviously that's not necessary if that's not to go especially out of your way for that. For Roivam, again, I don't know. I didn't hear that has to be done. Yes, Rebecca.
How come I always heard it being called Kiddush Levanah and not Kiddush HaChodesh.
Kiddush Levanah. I meant, sorry, you're right. I'm misspeaking.
Okay, I wasn't sure if Chabad calls
No,
it something
no,
different.
no. Kiddush Levanah, sorry. It's
So women, so you just said women can say it? They just stand in a different spot?
again, you can say this. You could say every tefillah. Every tefillah you could say. Of course, you
I've
could say.
never seen women do it.
Okay, that's what I'm saying. If you want to do it, you could do it. And
You could.
I
Okay.
think I've seen women do it. Like they'll stand on the side because it's not like we said, it has to be open in the sky, so it's not neutral.
Okay. Also, I forgot. After Yom Kippur, you have to do Havdalah with a nair or no?
Yes, we do nair that Shavas. It has to be a nair that survived the night. The 20.
So I'm just thinking, like, I'm thinking about in my parents' shul, like when they have like, I don't know if they have food out after the fast, but somebody would have to make Havdalah with a nair before they would eat, and I don't know if they do that. Like,
No, I mean, okay. First of all, the custom is usually we make Avdal in the shul, and
oh, they don't do that. And they in
and
my
you have
parents' shul, they go straight into Mariv after like Ne'ilah.
no, yes, you do Marav and after Marav. Of course, you can't do Havdalah before Marav. You do
Oh,
Marav after Havdalah. You do Marav Havdalah after Marav. And if you don't, for whatever reason, do it. It doesn't say anywhere that you have to do, but if you don't do it, and again, you want to do Kiddush HaChodesh, I'm assuming you still do Kiddush HaChodesh before. Okay. Kiddush Levanah, sorry. All right. 26 is even before breaking your fast or putting on shoes after Tisha B'Av. However, you should first put on your shoes. You should better put on your shoes. But even if what is it? He contradicts that. Even before breaking your fast or putting on shoes after Tisha B'Av. However, you should first put on your shoes. Okay. Better be wearing shoes when you say Kiddush Levanah than not. Again, not everyone has the custom because not everyone has shoes in shul to change. Okay, most people don't.
But wait, what do you mean put on your shoes? Because we wear non-leather shoes. They're still shoes.
Okay, he means that. He means shoes that are not Crocs.
Oh, well, I don't wear Crocs.
Ein likatsha loy bilal Shabbos v'loy bilal Yom Tov. Okay, it's important. We do not do Kiddush Levanah, not on Friday night and not on Yom Tov night. If again, what Yom Tov could you possibly do it on? The only Yom Tov you could do it on is Shavuos, because all other Yom Tovim are the 15th. So we were talking about Shavuos, or I guess the first night of Yom Kippur. Unless it's an emergency. That if you wait till Saturday night, it's gonna be too late. So if you forgot to do Kiddush Levanah and Friday night is the crossover point, that's your last night to do it, and Matzah Shabbos would be too late, so then you could do it on Shabbos. That's good to know if people forget. So says the Radvaz, the Shara Hatzion 42611 says the reason is because it is a custom to dance at the sanctification of the moon, Kiddush Levanah. And if possible, you should avoid this on Shabbos. There are also many other reasons that brought down. So this is the issue of dancing, which we're not going to get into that now. That special dance for Rosh Chodesh should not be done on Shabbos, but again, that's one of the reasons of many. All right, 28. Ramah, see Shavus Yaakov. The reason is because one should not merge one simcha with another. So there's different things. There's a difference in Shabbos and Yom Tov. Shabbos is not a day of simcha. We don't say simcha on Shabbos. So why can't you do it? Because there's other reasons that are brought down. But Yom Tov doesn't have those reasons because Yom Tov is a zman of simcha. But we have another rule: you're not supposed to merge simchas. You're supposed to separate the times. They don't like we don't try to do things to get to kill two birds with one stone, so to say. So you have each simcha has to have its own special time. So don't mix Yom Tov with blessing the new moon. Aaron, you wanted to ask something? Okay, let's continue. What about a good question? Someone who doesn't really benefit from the new moon, unfortunately, if that person is blind. So it says summa muter lakatsha. The word here is muter, doesn't say chayiv. Muter means a blind person is permitted to sanctify the new moon, even though doesn't necessarily benefit from the moon personally. Mishnah Berurah 4261 rules that a blind person is obligated to sanctify the moon because he benefits from the light that others have to guide him. So it's a question of permissible or obligatory. So it can't be obligatory if there's no benefit, but it's permissible according to the Kitzur. However, I think who did he say it was? The Mishnah Brewer says that it's obligatory because it's also you benefit because people guide you. You're better off when people could see than when people are in the dark. However, not you, being a blind person. However, since the Radvaz and the Marikash say that he may not sanctify the moon, Bir Halacha rules that it is better to have someone make a bracha for him. So the question is, if you're not obligatory, could you make a bracha? Could you make a blessing? So he says that you should have someone say it and have you in mind for the blessing part. So you like this, you could keep all opinions in line. I've not seen that, so I don't know if that's the custom. What happens sometimes? The moon comes out before Ma'ariv. If you still have enough days in the month to do it, so first daven Ma'ariv and then do the Kiddush Levanah only after you daven Ma'ariv. The rule is that something that happens periodically and something that happens usually, that something that's usual comes before something that happens periodically. So therefore, Ma'ariv comes before Kiddush Levanah. The Kriya Shema Havid. Also, you can't compare the obligation. That's saying the Shema is obligatory, and morning and night. And this is more customary. But what happens if, again, you're in a place like Seattle? Now, again, I'm not coming down hard on Seattle. I'm just talking the reality is in Seattle, the winter months are stressful because of the overcast. So, because it's not only rain, it's also the overcast. As long as you can't see if the clouds are out, you can't see the moon. So if you're kind of trying to get moments, not nights, but moments that the clouds clear, and you see that there's an opening for a moon, and if you're going to daven Ma'ariv, by the time you finish Ma'ariv, it's going to close up again, and it's getting late in the month. So just do the new month and override the ideas of Tadir and the Araisa of Shema. Yes, Aaron.
I thought we're supposed to be happy when we do the moon, and you said don't be stressed out. You shouldn't even think about being stressed out, I thought.
You know what? You're 100% right. But some people do get stressed out. You're 100% right. Absolutely right. But at the same time, you have to be practical that if you're living in a place where there's a lot of overcast, you don't always have time to do the new moon. And therefore, he's saying basically that if you have an opening, it's before Ma'ariv, and the moon came out and it's shining, and the concern is that Ma'ariv will take 15 minutes, and in those 15 minutes, we all know that the moon could be gone by then. So just jump in on the moment. Very good point. That's a good point in general in life, not to be stressed out. In the wind, when there's a rainy season, so it's even more concern or more awareness of the abilities of losing the moon. So you should be more aggressive when taking opportunities of times of when the moon is out. And try to do Kiddush Levanah as soon as possible. What happens if it's like really one of these days where it's really, really overcast, and all of a sudden you're in the middle of Shema, it means you're in the middle of Ma'ariv, and someone comes, there's always the moon, what do they call it? A loonie, someone who's out there looking at the lunar, looking out for the moon. So someone who's watching the moon and sees, oh, Chevra, the moon's out, and it's in the middle of Kriya Shema. Im hazman mitumsam kol kach shva'oid yigmuru shmone esrei yaver zman kedusha yechol lahafsik afilu be'emtza brichos Kriya Shema oya afilu be'emtza Kriya Shema kaddish. So here he says a radical ruling that if it's mamish clear that this is a very short opportunity that's going to pass, even if you're in the middle of the Shema itself, you could interrupt the Shema to bless the new month. If you read the writing, it says at the end, you read the tefillah, talks about the greatness of the blessing of the new month. We say one of the beautiful passages we say. It says like this. I should read it from the text. it says, I think it's before Hallel. Yeah, we say that Tana Devei Rabbi Shmuel. We learned it was an idea studied in the yeshiva of Rabbi Shmuel. That if you just for the fact that you have the opportunity to bless the new month, to meet God in the new month once, that's alone worthy of the Jewish people. That's how special Kiddush Levanah is to bless the new moon. So therefore, if you have an opening and it's crucial timings that you know that this may not come back, so you could even interrupt the Shema to say Kiddush Levanah. But if, like, you don't have to get exaggerated, but if, like, Shema isn't that big, if you could finish at least a paragraph, between Shema and Vahaya, try to finish the Shema, and before Vahaya, which is always better than we learned in the laws that do have to do interruptions, to at least try to place it in a place of a break, as opposed to just saying the word Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu, run outside and bless the new moon. Okay, let's just finish up this with the footnotes. 30 is he quotes the source. 31 is, and it is apparent over. Who are we talking about? Also, if reading the Shema is biblical, yeah. So thus, it has a precedence over sanctifying the moon, which is not biblically ordained. It's rabbinic, so therefore it's custom, whatever. So doesn't have the same. It's not as strong as the Shema. Therefore, Shema comes first. 32 is okay. He tells us to check 16 to check which we've learned in our laws of Tefillah Matzah Shabbos. What is the interruptions? What are the places in between the Shema? And 33, he says, is you may only say the bracha sanctifying the moon, but not the verses we are accustomed to say after the bracha, lechem apanim, author of the Kitzur Shulchan Aruch. So the Kitzur Shulchan Aruch has his own separate publication called lechem apanim, and there he rules that this law that we said that you're allowed to interrupt the Shema when you have an opening for the blessing of the new moon, doesn't mean the entire blessing, which is a long blessing and has some extra parts that we say, only the actual blessing itself. So it's the Baruch Atah Hashem, Baruch Atah Hashem Mechadash Chadashim, that section. Yes, Barbara. Yeah, I think you're on mute.
Sorry, I was trying to hit the unmute button. I was just going to share that I was looking in my Kitzur Shulchan Aruch. Chapter 128 is all about the month of Elul and different things. And so, sorry,
What chapter is that? The chapter
128.
138. All right, okay, perfect. That's the month of Elul. We should learn the laws of the month of Elul, getting ready for Yom Tov. I think we're going to hit that actually. Maybe we'll skip to that after the laws of Rosh Chodesh, because to get in with the laws of Yom Tov, to be in the times. I'll make a decision on that next week. I think, how much longer do we have in this chapter? Only one more law. Okay. All right, everyone. Go ahead,
Can I
Aaron.
just say one thing?
Sure.
Whenever it's appropriate, I would like to learn the laws of kosher.
I get. Okay. Maybe we'll start doing that Saturday night after we learn the laws of prayer and blessings.
Also,
Yeah, when it gets
Rabbi,
easier to show up.
I was just going to share that there's a place called Kosher Institute of America. That's who I went through and got all my knowledge and everything. And it's self-study and it's really good, Aaron. Kosher
All right.
Institute of America.
Thank you.
Okay.
Rabbi, I was just gonna ask if we can like, even if you do something else before the halachos of Yom Tov, if by the time we get to Sukkot, if we could cover the laws of Yom Tov before Sukkot.
Yeah, so I mean, the next chapter 98, starts the laws of Yom Tov. So laws of Yom Tov are complicated, different than the laws of Shabbos, because of course, like the tractate of Beitza, which tackles the laws of Yom Tov, kind of because there's leniencies or things that we can do different than Shabbos. So therefore, there's also things that were more strict, comes with it, stringent things that we're more strict with. But we'll all tackle that. We'll make an executive decision what's best for going forward with the class. Laila Tov, everyone. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rabbi. For your grandson.
Thank you
Amen.
much. Thank you. Amen.